it's time to welcome in a very special guest. We have Sacha Kljestan. He is the studio and match analyst for the MLS on Apple TV. I'm old enough to remember watching him play for the Red Bulls, Orlando City, and making his debut for the international team all the way back on June the 2nd of 2007. Sacha, thanks so much for joining us, partner. How you doing today?
I'm very good. How about yourself?
Great. And listen, we got a big fixture coming up tonight for our Herons. No, Damian Perez is our producer and co-host here at the City Place Studios in downtown West Palm Beach. We both looked at each other and said, we think Messi wants the CONCACAF Champions Cup this year. You know, you got the feeling. You got the feeling last year. It's like MLS. Sacha, I think this year it's all about this CONCACAF Champions Cup. I think he wants to say he won it in Europe and he won it and on this side of the hemisphere. What's your take on that?
100%. I don't know if Messi has said it publicly, but right after MLS Cup, we had Jorge Mas at the desk, after they won the championship. And he said, listen, the goal now is CONCACAF Champions Cup. We are going after that. We are going to reload and sign new players and spend more money to try to win this competition now. So this club is going all in, as they should when you have the best player on the planet. Messi wants this thing. Rodrigo de Paul wants this thing. Ownership wants this thing. The whole club is going all in.
Sacha Kljestan, former MLS player and current studio and match analyst for the MLS on Apple TV, is our guest here on Pink Smoke. Now, Sacha, what have you seen from Inter Miami so far this season that you really like? Obviously, Sergio Busquets and Rodrigo de Paul deciding to hang up the boots. There are a lot of new cast members. A couple people got worried, and after that LAFC matchup. But I think Lionel Messi and the Herons have done a good job of bouncing back after that 3-0 loss against LAFC.
Yeah, listen, I don't think we've seen anything remotely close to the best from Inter Miami yet. We haven't seen the same Tadeo Allende that we saw in the playoffs, who, set an MLS record by scoring 9 goals in the playoffs last year. I don't think we've even seen Messi at his best yet, but he's got 3 goals in his last 2 games. Segovia is coming in, Silvetti is coming in, but they're not been as impactful as they were last season. This team's still getting used to playing without Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets. And then you have some new players that they added in free agency, like goalkeeper Dane St. Clair, who was the MLS goalkeeper of the year last year. He hasn't fully settled in yet and been the dominant force that we all thought he would be. Having said that, they've won 2 in a row. They look pretty good. They're going to play against a very good Nashville team tonight. So listen, still some questions to be answered. Berterame was a massive signing. They spent $15 million, and I haven't seen him be dangerous yet. He has to figure out how to play with Lionel Messi.
Now, Sacha, you talk about the matchup tonight. What are we going to see from Nashville? This is a team that Inter Miami has historically been great against, a team that Lionel Messi has specifically terrorized in the past. Messi's going for goal number 900 tonight, too.
Yeah.
What kind of performance are you expecting to see from Nashville with a lot of, I think, implications heading into this CONCACAF Champions Cup matchup?
So first and foremost, let's remember it's 2 legs, right? An aggregate score. So this is just half of the series tonight. But I do expect Nashville to go toe-to-toe with Miami. I don't think they're going to be as afraid of them as they have been in the past. Nashville's playing some very good ball over the last couple of weeks. They added a really good player in Christian Espinoza, who was a free agent from San Jose. So instead of it always being this 2-headed monster up front between Mukhtar and Surridge, you've got a third guy now that you have to worry about down that right side. But they're very good at ball possession, too. They're good at keeping the ball, which is what Miami wants to do as well. They want to control the game with possession, have more possession than you. So honestly, I think it's 2 of the best teams in the league that are going to go toe-to-toe tonight. Let's see who can land a couple of heavyweight punches.
Sacha Kljestan, former MLS player and current studio and match analyst for the MLS on Apple TV, is our guest here on Pink Smoke. Now, Sacha, obviously playing football at the highest level, partner, how is it having new players? Because that's kind of what Inter Miami is going through. You mentioned you haven't necessarily seen Herman Berterame be that dangerous player yet. Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba, they were the constant in that Inter Miami roster for years alongside Lionel Messi, going back to Barcelona. How is it kind of ushering in new guys and getting that feeling ready to go for the season?
The most important thing about the new guys in Miami is how they learn to play with Lionel Messi, because he he's the GOAT. And listen, sometimes you have to defer to him and you have to understand what he wants to do, how he plays the game. And so Alba and Busquets understood that because they played with him for more than 10 years at that point, right? They knew him like the back of their hand. Berterame has to figure that out. New young midfielder from Portland, David Ayala, he's got to figure that out when he gets in the team because I think he's got a very high ceiling. Allende, Silvetti, Segovia, they figured that out last season by the end of the year and they were clicking. It's on Berterame to figure out, okay, what does Messi like to do when he drops deep? What kind of runs do I need to make? Do I just need to be a wall for him to bounce the ball off and then get back in the box? That's what I'm watching for over the early part of the season.
And then, Sacha, I liked what you said there about Messi playing behind Berterame because that's exactly what happened against Orlando. I mean, in that first half, that 4-2-3-1 was Orlando blew it up. And then Coach Mascherano trots out that 4-4-2 and puts Messi at that false nine. It opened up the whole game. Tactically, what have you liked about Inter Miami this season? Because I mentioned that 4-2-3-1 didn't work the first two games. Coach Mascherano went back at it in game 3, got 2 early goals. We've kind of seen a little mix from Coach in that sense. How do you think Inter Miami is going to line up against Nashville tonight?
I think they're probably still going to stick with Berterame up front and Messi in that kind of free role underneath him. I'm always intrigued when the lineup comes out to see who's going to play in those wing spots. You know, he's gone with Silvetti and Segovia in early parts of this season. I wouldn't be surprised to see it be Silvetti and Allende, more of runners in this game for when the ball turns over. Because, I said Nashville's a possession team. When the ball turns over, Miami needs to hit a little faster on the counterattack. And so I think they're going to stick with Berterame up front. I want to see that connection come to fruition with Messi. It's taken a little bit longer than expected. But what I do like about Mascherano is that he's been willing to make changes on the fly. When they were down 2-0 at halftime against Orlando, he took out a defender and put on an extra winger attacker, and they just went at Orlando in the second half, and that really worked out for them. I don't want to see them playing timid. I want to see them go after the game.
And Sacha, you're mentioning Matteo Silvetti coming on for Noah Allen, and he scored the first goal in that second half and really set the tone. Sacha Kljestan is our guest here on Pink Smoke, former MLS player, current studio and match analyst for the MLS on Apple TV. We appreciate the time he's given us. Now, Sacha, is Inter Miami the favorite in this CONCACAF Cup competition in your eyes? Does the loss to LAFC kind of linger in the back of your head? And if they're not, or rather, who are some other teams that you could see on the United States side and even in the Mexican side that you could see competing in this?
I'll give you 4 teams on the MLS side that I think can win it, and it's Nashville and Inter Miami. So this series ends up being a big one. Those are 2.
Wow, you're that high, Sacha, that high on Nashville.
Nashville's good, dude. They're a very good team. They're very well coached. And they've added good pieces all over the field, and they're tough to play against. I still favor Inter Miami in this series, and Miami's going to be number 1 to win this competition for me. And Nashville would probably be around number 4. 2 and 3 is Vancouver and LAFC, 2 very good teams that are just firing again this season, kind of like they were last season, kind of just keeping on exactly what they were doing at the end of last season, which they're very good squads with difference makers. Man, and I haven't even mentioned San Diego. They've got a massive matchup with Toluca coming up, who Toluca should be one of the favorites as well. They're one of the best teams in Mexico over the last couple of years. Then you've always got the Giants in Mexico, Tigres, Monterrey, Cruz Azul. These are all big clubs. Club America, who beat Philly last night. It's kind of a gauntlet right now. There are 10 teams, I think, out of these last 16 that could legit win the tournament.
Now, Sacha, to change gears a little bit, we got the World Cup coming here. And my welcome to the United States men's national team soccer moment was, 0-2. I fell in love with the team. I've always followed very closely since. I like Italy as well. I'm part Italian. My dad's 100% Italian and drilled that into my head. But, partner, I am a massive United States men's national team fan. Copa America didn't go the way we wanted. Weah picking up that red card, and oh God, partner, tell me things are going to go differently with Coach Pochettino. It's here. You got Pulisic. It seems like Pulley Goat and the boys are really bought in. Weston McKennie is a fine player, getting another contract from Juve. We got great players all around the pitch. How do you see the U.S. team faring with the World Cup being on our own soil?
I'm very optimistic and I'm very excited. I think we've got a great squad. a lot of young players who now have a lot of experience playing in Europe, big expectations on their shoulders. But let's be honest, we got a very good draw in this World Cup, right? Paraguay and Australia, two teams that we've played in the last 6 months, and we've beaten both of them in friendly. So we got to be expected to beat them on home soil in a World Cup in these massive stadiums with all these American fans on their back. I don't think these players fully understand how big a home World Cup is. Like, they're going to be on Good Morning America. They're going to be the talk of ESPN. They're going to be everywhere during that month. And so these guys are going to turn into household names, and I think they're going to go on a run that the whole nation is going to get behind. You're a little younger than me, I think. 02 was awesome for me too, because I was 16 when that happened. Yep. And I was kind of like, I'm getting closer. 5 years later, I was playing with some of those guys on the national team. 94 was the one for me because it was in our backyard. I'm from LA. I'm sitting in LA right now. I watched the
beautiful day, partner. Beautiful day out there.
It's always a beautiful day out here. The 94 World Cup final in the Rose Bowl, I'm 9 years old. I'm watching that. Made me dream of having the career that I did. My son is 9 years old. He's going to watch a game at SoFi Stadium this summer. I hope him and every other kid across the nation is inspired by these guys.
Sasha, I think you saw it with hockey. I think you saw it with Team USA winning that hockey gold medal. And I think more of the same is hopefully going to happen for our lads with Team USA. We had your buddy Taylor Twellman on, Jake Zivin. We had them all on. They both said, got to get to the final 8. Are you putting those expectations on the U.S. team? I kind of, to be honest, Sasha, I am. With the group, and I know it's kind of, you don't really know who the hell you're going to play after group stage. You got to let this stuff play out. But I think I'm with the boys. I think you got to be one of the 8 teams on your own home soil.
I think that's the goal, right, is get to the quarterfinals. We remember that team in 02 that went on that run. There's that crazy handball against Germany. We could have made a semifinal. Listen, when you're playing at home, and I think the crowds that we're going to have, the U.S. team did this in Italy. I know we still had some Americans in the arena watching them, but all of us back home were tuned in. That's what it's going to be like. I think they're going to be buzzing off that. I'd love to see them in the final 8.
Sacha Kljestan, former MLS player, current studio and match analyst for the MLS on Apple TV, is our guest. Made plenty of caps for Team USA too. Sacha, who else do you like in the tournament? Obviously, Spain, Argentina. Never sleep on the athleticism of Brazil. Mbappe with France. I mean, they're Portugal. Portugal winning the most recent trophy in Europe. I mean, I think the country is going to find out how good some of these teams are. Who are you kind of looking at outside of Team USA coming up for the World Cup?
Yeah, you listed most of them, so I'm going to agree with you on all of those. Argentina, Spain, and France are the 3 favorites for sure, all led by a superstar, right? So Spain, it's an 18-year-old Lamine Yamal. He's a baller. Yep. Mbappe with France, he's probably the best player in the world over the past year. And then Messi is still the GOAT, and he still can do it at a high level. So that's Argentina. Then the next level, you got Harry Kane and England. They're always good, but I do not want to see England bring the trophy home on our soil. 250 years on from 1776.
How the hell did I forgot about the 3 Lions?
We're not talking about England, no.
Now Sacha, quickly. If you listen to Talk Sport, they're already out of the tournament with the group that England got. If you listen to Talk Sport, Simon Jordan and Jim White, they're already out of the tournament, right?
There's too much pressure on them anyways. I'm going to give you 2 dark horse teams, though, Morocco and Senegal. They met in the final of the African Cup of Nations. They're both playing at a super high level. They both got through World Cup qualifying in Africa with flying colors. They've got a bunch of ballers that play at very good clubs in Europe. I think those 2 teams can surprise some people, especially in a hot World Cup in the States. It's going to be awesome.
Now, Sacha, putting you on the spot here. Obviously, we're MLS guys. You got your gig with Apple TV. I'm the voice of the Herons down here on ESPN West Palm. Is there a European team that you follow? Partner, I'm a diehard United fan. I went to a fixture. This was pre-Cristiano. My father took me to one of the American tours that I went on. I saw Ryan Giggs. I saw Wayne Rooney in one of his first years. I fell in love with the team right there, and I've been a diehard since. I like what I'm seeing from Michael Carrick. Reminds me a little bit of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're going to look past that. I hope my Red Devils are back, partner. But is there a Prem team that you love? Is it La Liga? Is there a European club that you have followed closely your whole life?
I've always been a Real Madrid fan because of Zinedine
A la
Zidane.
Madrid.
Yeah, Real Madrid. Zinedine Zidane was my favorite player of all time. I absolutely fell in love with him at the '98 World Cup and followed him from Juve to Real Madrid. Then he became Madrid's coach and always just looked so swaggy on the sidelines, won 3 straight Champions Leagues. So I've been a Real Madrid fan, and I was golfing all day today, but I saw that they had a big 3-0 win over Man City.
Valverde, a hat trick.
I got to go check the highlights right now as soon as I get off this call. But yeah, I've always been a Madrid fan, and I love seeing Mbappe. He's been my favorite player, honestly, since the 2018 World Cup to watch. So now I see him in all white. I love it.
Now, United fans and Real Madrid fans, it's firm handshakes in the chat. You know what I mean? There's a respect level between Madrid fans and United fans from the business they've done in the past. I even go back to when Madrid gave money when they had the tragic plane crash for United. I can get behind that. Sacha, we're buddies. We're buddies. Now, 3-0 against Man City. You did God's work today. Partner, I know you're going to go back and watch those highlights, but you guys did God's work beating Manchester City 3-0. Now, Sacha, once again, Sacha Kljestan, former MLS player, United States men's national team player, current studio and match analyst for MLS on Apple TV. I got to get a final score from you in tonight's CONCACAF Champions Cup matchup between our Herons and Nashville. Game's going to be in Nashville. It's a 7:30 kickoff. Before we let you go, partner, what's that final score going to look in the first leg?
I'm going to give 2-2 tonight. I think it's going to be a couple of teams throwing big punches at each other. The crowd's going to be into it. I think Messi shows up and puts 1 or 2 in. It goes 2-2. They go back to Miami, and I think Miami will take care of business in leg 2.
Music to my ears. So Sacha going with the Messi 900th goal. Absolutely love it. Sacha, thank you so much, partner. Appreciate all my Apple TV guys joining, partner. And I hope to have you back real soon, all right?
Cheers. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Sacha. That was Sacha Kljestan, once again, former MLS player, current studio and match analyst for the MLS on Apple TV. Appreciate him giving us the time on Pink Smoke. We're taking